In regards to the report, there's a new report, but you've been following up and tracking on WASH and our adoption or adaptation to the different recommendations that have come through various reports. But I know that there's those persistent things that continue to emerge in every other new report that comes through. Talk to us about this report.
Yeah, thank you very much. WaterAid Uganda conducted a study on WASH inequalities in Uganda. And this report specifically aims at assessing the impact of WASH and identifying solutions. The report states that more than half of the Ugandans still rely on unsafe or unimproved toilets, or call them latrines, so whatever the name is.
20 million Ugandans.
Exactly. And only about 20% do access a basic toilet. Here we are talking about the Joint Monitoring Program indicators that are recognized worldwide. So you realize that our status in Uganda is one of the biggest development challenges that we have, lack of sanitation, effective sanitation. When you look at the inequalities, we are talking about inequalities in institutions, schools. The Ministry of Education requires a pupil stance ratio of 1 to 40 pupils. But you realize it varies across districts. You'll find a pupil stance ratio, for example, in Western Uganda, that is 1 to 140 pupils, one toilet to 60, 70. So it's still very, very daring situation. When we talk about healthcare facilities, the report clearly states the very dire situation in healthcare facilities. Here we are talking about mothers. We are talking about girls who usually face the greatest challenges in these institutions. When they go to deliver, they don't have safe toilets that they can use. And the toilets, if they are there, they don't have water. So this really exacerbates.
And should they have water, the sanitation still of the toilet is
yes,
wanting. Yeah.
Which causes them to actually get more infections, both the newly born and the mothers. So this is a situation that has to be arrested. And now also when we look at people with special needs or people with disabilities, the designs that you find in our public places, many of them do not address the needs and the requirements of the people with disabilities. So these groups are usually left out. And the report also clearly shows that there is a very huge gap in equity-based planning and financing. You realize that even for some of the civil society organizations and the government itself, when the budgets are done, when the planning is being done, sanitation is usually very marginalized. So we really need to make sure that there is very clear equity-based planning and financing, where sanitation gets very clear plans and budgets, and they are well facilitated so that we can be able to put up toilets that are user-friendly, they are equity-centered. The girls have the separate rooms for their hygiene, menstrual hygiene health, and also the boys have their separate stances. Apart from that, we are talking about the teachers at these schools. You find many schools in the rural areas. The report reveals teachers share toilets or latrines with the pupils. So you can imagine there are issues of dignity and privacy that are highly compromised. And one of the most important things that we have to really put into consideration is without toilets, without sanitation, without water to clean these toilets, we will not be able to stay healthy. This means attendance in school will be affected and productivity will also be affected, because most of these diseases, the disease burden according to the Ministry of Health, really relates to poor sanitation, poor hygiene, and yet up to 75% of these diseases can be prevented if we have water and sanitation and the awareness on hygiene behaviors that is required.
OWASNet has a voice of the people and the communities that are most affected by this inadequacy in WASH. And the Citizens WASH Manifesto captures some of those voices across the country. It begs the question, what are Ugandans saying that is their most urgent need when it comes to hygiene, when it comes to sanitation services?
Yeah, thank you, Priscilla. OWASNet is the network of close to 200 civil society organizations that work in water and sanitation. So because we are grounded, we are working closely to the communities, we generated these voices which are more correlating to what Joyce has presented and also honorable. And the key message is, in this manifesto, is that now we are within the political environment. Let us make sure that the leaders that we elect, those who come in power, whether at LC1 or our members of parliament or our presidents who are standing in their manifestos, let them prioritize water and sanitation based on the statistics that you've had. Because the repercussions of this, what the manifesto is generating, are the real life experiences of every day. That girl child, just like Joyce has shared, who will not go to school 3 or 4 days in a month, that's around a full month losing out on studying because they don't have access to clean water and sanitation. That mother, on average, will lose 33 children every day due to diarrhea-related diseases, children under 5. Close to 10,000 villages that don't have access to clean water. What does that mean? The women and the girls who are responsible for collecting water they lose a number of hours that would have been productive. So all this manipulates to the overall objective that our president calls for of moving to a middle income status, where because of lack of access to clean water and sanitation, we lose an average of 6 trillion shillings every year, due to different indicators. So what the citizens are saying, as all these politicians and village leaders are convincing us to elect them in office, let us make sure, let us advocate for them to prioritize water and sanitation as a key priority for their communities, as a key priority in the manifesto. Because if they prioritize it right now, and we are also committing as civil society organizations that even when they come in office, we're going to continue monitoring them to make sure that these voices are heard and water and sanitation is prioritized and is also fulfilled as they're in office.
Okay, this all goes back to you, Honorable Silas. The mandate is on government to ensure that the 23 million that we're talking about that are left out of WASH actually included in one way or another, but it takes the first step by government to do so. It begs the question, what are the current priorities that you have been advocating for through the forum to the parliament, to government, in order to address these issues presented in the report and manifesto?
Yes. First of all, I want to speak as the chairperson of the Uganda Parliamentary Forum on WASH. The main thing, first of all, that I'm focusing on is making sure that members of parliament understand the problem before us, because they are the people at the helm, they know, and they are the ones who are best actually placed to cater for our society. So capacity building for members of parliament is, for me, very critical, and I want to be so appreciative to WaterAid, OWASNet, and the rest of the partners who have supported us during these times. Our issue, our priority is to make sure that our country, our citizens benefit in everything that government has in place for them. And if we talk about what we want to do as a parliament, we are trying to see how we can put in money that will be enough to cater for the caps that we are raising here. Madam Unia is talking about the political season. Many candidates are moving up and down, and they are saying, I am the best to go to parliament, I am the best to do this. But we are asking people, what is it that you are going to do there? What is it that you have to offer? And in your question, you are talking about the priorities. Are you talking about the mandates?
Yes, the priorities. Which priorities are you fronting to address the issues?
Yes, so
in the
our
report?
issue, because if you look at the mandates of members of parliament, as MPs, we do represent the people. We collect the voices. Now we have a report that is coming up, the Citizens Manifesto. So our priority right now, first of all, is to listen to the voice that is coming from the community. What do the people want?
Okay.
What is their interest? What are they saying? Sometimes we want to budget for people, whereas we think that is the most urgent thing. That is actually not the priority. But if we listen to the priorities of the people through the Citizen Manifesto, we get it spot on.
Okay.
So our issue is to make sure that we line our budgeting with the priorities of the stakeholders.
We're in the budgeting
communities.
cycle. Has that alignment started?
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
It has already started. And sometimes the mistake that we make as citizens is to start following the budget cycle when it's at the tail end. By the time we are doing the debate in Parliament, it is at the tail end. So things matter when we start getting concerned now. So our priority right now is to make sure that we participate in conferences, budget conferences.
Okay.
There are going to be regional budget conferences, for instance. We want to listen, we want to work out with our partners,
Okay.
we want to pick out issues, make sure that we increase the budget.
All right.
We increase the budget, but also strengthen the policies and laws, and increase oversight.
Yeah, but you see, strengthening policies and laws still comes down to the budget, because
Yes.
it may be strengthened, but implementation of the strength that you
Yes.
have that has been amended still requires funding to do
It
that.
requires
Which
funding.
comes to Mrs. Musazi, sorry. How does this WASH manifesto strengthen accountability, both in financing and delivering the services of WASH?
The manifesto strengthens accountability because once the politicians at whatever level integrate water and sanitation, like I mentioned, we as civil society organizations and the communities, you know, are now going to use the manifesto as a benchmark to monitor. And we are committing as UASNet and also our membership that we are going to align, we are going to look at all the different manifestos, especially for the political parties and the members of parliament who are going to come on board. It's going to be now our benchmark to monitor when it comes, because our call as citizens and civil society is that let investment for water and sanitation be increased. Currently, we have a gap. Where we are now, we need 9 times the current financing. We are saying, can operation and maintenance be allocated additional funding so that the 20,000 water sources that are currently not functional, they're addressed? Can we bridge the gap of the at least 1.5 million Ugandans? Currently, it's just 800. We're just catching up with the population growth.
Okay.
So once all these key indicators are addressed, then it's our role now to hold them accountable. We'll be coming to Parliament, you know, and assessing that this is what you're committed to. We'll be holding the president in power come 2026 January, that this is what you committed to. How far are we? Yeah.
Okay, all right, Madam Palani, this is where we want to know. I know that there's actionable steps that are being taken, especially today, as we are trying to front this discussion forward with various stakeholders. Talk to us about that. But also, I want you to touch a bit about climate change, because the climate has changed, weather patterns have changed. If we see disaster here in downtown Kampala, how worse is it in our rural communities? Yeah.
Yeah, thank you very much. First of all, as WaterAid, we believe that everyone, everywhere, must access safe water and effective sanitation. That is an enormous work that we need to do jointly through collaboration, coordination, effective planning, and effective utilization of the meager resources that we have.
Okay.
We are looking at WASH in public health, and we've already talked about so many challenges in institutions and also in communities. We are talking about climate resilient WASH, and this is a relatively new phenomena that requires a lot of togetherness as government, civil society organization, and the private sector. When we say climate resilient WASH, we are talking about toilets that can withstand the climate extreme weather conditions. Here we are talking about flooding, we are talking about drought, we are talking about excessive weather conditions. So when there is too much water, the toilets will will have the floods and the toilets will be washed away. So it is very important that the designs, the standards of these facilities, the toilets that we are talking about, are resistant. This requires very good designs, very good materials for us to be able to construct toilets, washrooms that will stand these extreme weather conditions. What does this mean? By the time we get to the construction, a lot has happened at the national level. And as my colleagues have been saying, we need policies that really support climate resilience WASH. And now here we are talking about, like WaterAid has participated a lot in the development of the nationally determined contributions and also the national action plans on climate resilience. We need to allocate money to these to climate resilience activities, initiatives, to make sure that in every district they are able to understand what is climate resilience and what is required of the district local governments to make sure that all the facilities that are being put in place, that they are climate resilient. And also, if there is excessive drought, we won't have water. So without water, sanitation becomes very much affected. We won't be able to clean the sanitation facilities. We won't be able to have enough water, and the hygiene and sanitation will equally be compromised. So mainstreaming climate change resilience in all our water and sanitation is a critical step that will enable us to make sure that our population, our citizens, can enjoy and benefit from the facilities that have been constructed.
Okay, talk to us about the agenda for today, the event.
The events for today, we are here, specifically all of us know on the 19th, we marked the World Toilet Day. And for us, it's not just a commemoration, but we come here to really lobby, to really try and influence, to really bargain and make sure that wherever we are seated, the parliamentarians, the civil society actors, the private sector, all of us understand what it means to live without a proper sanitation facility. It's not just an issue, but this means a daily lived experience of all of us. We are seated here, and before we came in, we wanted to use the
restrooms.
Exactly, the restrooms, and we were privileged to use these restrooms, which have very good flashing water. But the reality on the ground is very different. On an everyday basis, the children, the pupils in schools have to queue to be able to use the latrines. The latrines are not in very good conditions. And we are talking about people who are the future generation. So if we don't arrest and catch these issues which are really affecting our development as a country, then we will have done a disservice to our countries.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, WaterAid Uganda. Let me get closing remarks from the commitment and the mandate of WASNet.
Yeah. The closing remarks to our viewers, to make sure that we jointly bridge the gap when it comes to water and sanitation. It's our constitutional right to make sure that every Ugandan, whether a child, whether someone with disability, whether an elderly person, it's your auntie, your grandpa, your mother out there who's lacking access to clean water and sanitation. So as currently, as we have many people knocking at our doors, requesting for our votes, whether it's the LC1 chairman or that member of parliament or that president, let us hold them accountable. Let us make sure and we question them and we hold them accountable to make sure that they prioritize water and sanitation. In terms of increasing the budgeting, to make sure that there's access, every Ugandan has access to clean water and sanitation. At national level, our members of parliament, we are calling for removing the taxes for water and sanitation so that every girl, every woman, you know, has access. And we are also calling for the members of parliament, you know, as you vow for our votes, and also our presidents, that please, as you fulfill and include water and sanitation in your manifestos, to walk the talk.
Okay.
Once you get in office.
Honorable Silas, in your closing remarks, your commitment to continuing walking the talk.
Yes, that's very important. And beginning with this particular point of the taxes, I think that's critical. Talk about VAT and any other tax on water and water view. More so, if we talk about water which is used in health care facilities, actually for me, I'm a believer that believes that we should remove that tax. Yeah, we should lessen the burden completely. So Parliament bears a big responsibility. And from my side, our commitment is to make sure that we listen to the civil society, work together, work with the private sector, with every other stakeholder, but also let us execute the citizens' manifesto on these matters, because these are their voices. If we address those concerns, then we have managed to bring down the gap. And we'll be working very well together with the media.
This is how it works for you, Honorable. Yeah.
Yes.
If you address our concerns, we shall vote for you.
Until I say, now I'm tired, I stay there. So I think that's the beautiful part of it.
Yes, that's a very big mandate that you have as our leaders to ensure that WASH services and their effective delivery are actually paramount and very, very much given the attention that they do deserve, especially when it comes to the budget lines. So Honorable Silas Ogon, thank you so much. Joyce Mpalani Magana, thank you so much from Water Aid Uganda, and Unia Msazi from WASNet, thank you so much for these vulnerable insights. At the end of the day, message is very clear. WASH inequality remains one of Uganda's most urgent challenges, and it is affecting health, it's affecting dignity, but furthermore, it's even affecting development. And so the report of the Citizens WASH Manifesto is showing that communities know exactly what they need. Solutions are within their reach when it comes to financing and accountability. If those two can be paid attention to, the rest should be a different story the next time.